Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm just going to say I have a very nasty cold. So apologies for my horsey voice this morning and my intermittent coughing. But luckily, we have some awesome guest presenters today as well. So we'll be hearing from a lot of other people, not just me. But it's great to have you, as always, and on one of our last workshops of the Ideas into Action program. So we've, as always, please just mute your microphone until you are asked to unmute. Please use the Zoom chat to ask any questions, make comments. We've got the whole Ideas into Action team here today, and more as well. We have some guest presenters as well. So please also use the chat to engage in conversation and make comments. There'll be lots of people very ready and willing to chat with you as well. And if you drop off the call, just rejoin with the same link. So what are we doing today? Workshop 9, the importance of networking with Social Enterprise UK. So this is our third partner on the Ideas into Action program, and we welcome them in now towards with the importance of networking as we start looking at networking and partnerships. So today we're going to be looking at what is networking and why partnerships, and we've got a guest presentation from SEUK, but also from Bertie Hertage, who is our crowdfunding officer as well. So you're starting to meet a lot more people as the ideas are getting closer to a reality and closer to actually delivering your social projects. And we're going to start mapping your network, and we're going to start finding your partnerships that will help this become a reality. So today we've got a very busy agenda. I'm going to just talk very quickly about the importance of networks and social capital for social entrepreneurs. And then I'm going to hand over to Chris from Social Enterprise UK. And we have another social enterprise here today, Martin from Breadwinners as well. So we have some great guest presentations today. We're going to have a little break. It's a long session today, so we have built-in breaks. And we're going to hear from Bertie, and we're going to start looking at network mapping. What does that mean, and how do you actually do it? And then you're going to go out and you're going to start mapping your network. We're going to take another little breather. We are conscious that it's a 3-hour session today, so we'll have that time. And then we're going to come back and have a little session on the value of partnerships. And we're going to start thinking about what partnerships do you need right now for your social enterprise. And then we're going to have a little look at next steps coming up towards April, Easter, Eid, and sort of a pause bit in the program and what happens as well. Now, one of the biggest benefits and value adds that you have already, right, as a social entrepreneur is your social capital. What this means is it's the amount of people that you know or that you can get to know because of your organization. And your social capital is your potential network. So it's what you can tap into, it's what you can grow, and it's what you can create as your potential network for your organization. And networks are so important to any social entrepreneur because you need other people to support your work, support your mission, support your organization to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. You need to work with other people in your network to be able to reach your goals as an organization and to be able to reach your goals for your beneficiaries or for your users. Now, from your network that you can develop, from your social capital, you can find potential partners that you're looking for. Now, we're going to look at partnerships specifically today, right? So we're going to look at how do we use our network to find partnerships. And we're going to look at that today, and we're going to start doing that today. But your network might also find other things. It might find talent. And by talent, I mean volunteers. We've already had a volunteer session. Perhaps you haven't known where to look yet. But if you build out your network, you might find volunteers from that. Or you might even find staff through your network, okay? Or it might be cheerleaders. What that means is people who can promote the amazing work that your organization is doing. You might even find funders along the way in your network. People through your network may find you. They might want to support your projects, support your crowdfunder, right? But they might also recommend you to apply for a grant that they've seen. So your network can link you in many different ways. And you can also find potential clients or potential beneficiaries. So when we're thinking about growing this and we're thinking about the network, what we want to think about is your social enterprise as a village, okay? And your partners, your volunteers and your team members, your funders and your clients and beneficiaries, they're your villagers, if you will, right? They are your network. So if you think of your organization as a bit of a village, you need to build that village. You need to put people in this village, and that becomes your network. And all of this and all of the people you're meeting, you're working with, as you're growing your social enterprise and your organization, your social capital and your network is working and leading towards what you want to achieve, right? It's helping you get to your end goal. So there's so much strength in social networks. Excuse me. And there's so much strength in social capital that you and your organization can use and rely on to be able to further your organizational goals. And for your villagers, you might know people already. I can tell you in this room, you know Fred, Lucas, Hormoz, Jane, Wakong, Bertie already. And then today, you're going to meet Martin and you're going to meet Chris. And on top of that, you've got each other as well, right? So there are already people you know that can be in your network. But you also need to go out and find other people. You need to go and approach people and you need to build it. A network doesn't stop growing, right? You want to have an open sort of mindset, which keeps your network keeps growing. You keep finding people that can come and work and contribute with you. And that might sometimes just be somebody who shares something on the internet, or you might have a conversation with someone who is quite interested in what you're doing, or you have overlap. It's okay. It's just good to build these connections, build out your network with people already. Now, I want to give you an example to help to illustrate the power of a network. Here we have Mariam. Okay, Mariam is the founder of Coffee with Kids, and we'll meet Mariam again later. But Mariam's also an alumni of the Ideas into Action program. So Mariam's been sat where you are now in this workshop almost a year ago. Mariam and her social enterprise Coffee with Kids is a community coffee shop which provides affordable childcare for asylum seekers and refugees. Now, Mariam came to me. She knows me. We've worked together for nearly 2 years. But Mariam sort of was saying, like, how do I afford a big pop-up? How can I do that? And she also actually wanted a place to register. So I knew that there was this place called the Trampery, which is also a social enterprise in London that has something called the Evo Pioneers program. Now, we weren't even thinking about a space. What I was thinking about with Mariam was I said, why don't I put you in touch with this person from the Trampery, the Evo Pioneers program, because then you can have a space to go to an office to work, and you can be part of this program where you can register your social enterprise as well. So Mariam says, that sounds cool. Let me join that. I trust Lucas. I know Lucas. He recommends the Trampery in this program. And I can then join the program and have somewhere to register my social enterprise. Mariam does that, but through going there, she then meets an organization called Republic, which is based in East London. And that happens a few months on. And through the conversations with Republic, they then offer her a space for her pop-up coffee shop. Now, I'm going to talk more about how this relationship developed as a partnership a little bit later today. But she did run a very successful pop-up in October and is now planning another event with a Republic. So she, through her network, starting with me, going through the Trampery, she got to Republic and has now met a potential partner for space. So Mariam didn't go straight to the Republic and say, I need space. It was all about her network really adding to strengths and relationship building and her social capital. And she now knows me, the Trampery, and the Republic. So now she can go individually to each one of us and ask us questions or ask us for something or partner with us or have a conversation or just go for coffee. Point being is that there is such strength in a strong social network. And to tell you way more about that, but also about one of the big social networks in the UK, social enterprise networks in the UK, is Chris Morgan, the membership executive for Social Enterprise UK and our third partner on the Ideas into Action program. Chris, such a pleasure to have you with us today to come and talk about the value of SEUK and what you add as an organization to all these amazing social entrepreneurs in the Ideas into Action program. They're going to be playing, and SEUK are going to be playing an awesome role in the demo day. So you're going to see loads of Chris from now until June.
You get sick of me.
So go and ask him for loads. But no, everybody, please join me in welcoming Chris. It's such a pleasure to have you. So excited to have you here. And I will hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Thank you. And you're doing incredibly well soldiering on through this cold of yours as well. Just to say, this office is freezing. So if I sound shivery, it's because I am. It's not the warmest day of the year. But yeah, no, look, a massive thank you to Turn and Results CIC for having us as the third partner on this program. It's really a privilege to be here. As Lucas said, I'm Chris. I'm the membership executive at SEUK. For those of you who don't know us, we're the largest with a membership body for social enterprise in the country and the largest network of social enterprises in the UK. So I'm really glad to be able to give you a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be part of our network and how you can use it to make partnerships with fellow social enterprises as well. But I will share my screen and bombard you with a lot of information about SEUK. But before I do, I thought it'd be really good to bring in a real life example of someone who's used our network and been a member for a few years now. Obviously, we've got Results CIC and Turn as two great examples. But we also have the pleasure to be joined by Martin, who runs Breadwinners, a social enterprise supporting refugees into their first job and sells artisanal organic bread. I should also mention, of course, Martin, that you won the UK Social Enterprise Award for Prove Its Social Impact in December 2022. So they're very much one of the best social enterprises around. So we're delighted to have you here. And Martin, I'll hand over to you and then I'll come back to share a little bit more about our network.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Lucas, for having us here. Just to say first that when I joined Breadwinners, there was already a relationship between Turn and Breadwinners really 5 years ago. So that was potentially the first, I would say, in a way, friends more than network or partners. I would call it more like a friendship with another organization that is trying to support refugees. So I do believe a lot in networking and in networks, in building friendships and in building support. And I think I was gonna add to what Lucas was saying before. There's a bit of a long-term or medium to long-term game, and sometimes it's not something that will materialize immediately, but that towards longer term it does work out. And particularly from SEUK, for example, right now our biggest customer for our wholesale of bread, where we're selling bread and pastries to cafes and restaurants, is another social enterprise called Change Please, and that was a connection made through SEUK. That at the beginning thought, okay, maybe nothing's going to happen. It took ages until something started happening, and then right now it's our biggest customer, which in turn is giving lots of jobs to young people that are managing that orders and the customer services. So sometimes it takes time. It's not, it might not be on your top 10 things to do this week, but you sort of do it, or you try to do it because it can lead to something. But also more than that, I think it is having other people behind you and supporting you, as Lucas was saying, the village gets a little bit bigger and you don't know exactly how it might help you. But then when you're having a bad day, or when you are feeling low, or both, even when you are in a high, having a good village will help you out to keep your head and keep on delivering your mission or trying to achieve what you're doing. I don't know if I should talk more, so I'm going to put it back to Chris and see if he wants me to talk more or not.
No, I think that was really good. Thank you, Martin. I think it's such a great example, you and Change Please working together, two social enterprises achieving fantastic social impact through obviously meeting through our network as well. It's a great example there. I don't know whether anyone wants to ask Martin any questions before we go on with my presentation, because it might be good to just free up your time as well, Martin, so you can I know you're a very busy man with all the awards you're winning at the moment. So should we have some questions first, and then we go on to me if there's any? If not, I'm happy to share. I'm happy to start sharing my screen.
I'm happy to ask you a question, Martin. And if you don't mind, Thomas, you've got one as well.
Yeah, go first, Fred.
No worries, Thomas. Thank you very much. Martin, what would you say have you done that has made people come to you to ask for partnerships? What has been effective the other way around? Often we talk about seeking people out directly, which is very important. But what about the other way? What has happened that seemed serendipitous, but maybe you did something to stimulate that?
I think good question. I think at the beginning, it looks like you do more of going out, right? And then I'm in Breadwinners already for 5 years now. So now it does happen. It's starting to happen that it's the other way, where some funders come to us. It's the first time ever, that people say, oh, we know about you. We have this closed application process, so it's not even online. You cannot find these funders, and they come to you and say, then you still need to apply and do. But I think, when you're building your network, then somebody else will connect you with the right people, and then that person might look at who you are from what they can see, right? So we took, for example, impact measurement, and impact for us is very important just for ourselves, but also we share that. And I think sometimes that can help. And we don't know exactly how some connections are arriving to us, but it seems to in the long run, it seems to happen, basically. Yeah.
Thanks, Martin. Good to see the momentum building over time.
Yeah. I have a question for everyone, if you don't mind. I want to ask everyone, how did you got your first ever job? And you can write it in the chat. How did you get your first ever job, or how did you start your first ever business, whatever you guys did? But it has to be the first time that you earned some money. And I'm going to put in the spot to Chris, at least, for sure. And maybe Lucas as well. What was your first ever job, and how did you get it?
Yeah, it's funny. I was 16, and my football coach said, "Do you want some work? I've got under 10s you can coach." And I was like, "Yeah, I want some work." And I got £5 an hour for coaching under 10s football through a network.
Yeah, exactly. And what about you, Chris?
Funnily enough, mine was exactly the same. It was the under 10s boys team in my local Norwegian village. So I got, I think, 50 kroner an hour rather than pounds. But yeah, that was exactly the same thing. And you get that network. A lot of football, yeah, around Lucas.
I was a waiter in my local club back in Argentina, but I think sometimes it's quite difficult to start something, and I think the networks really help on that. And that's why we in Breadwinners we try to do, because we recognize young refugees or refugees in general that are new to the UK are lacking networks. So this type of workshops and getting to know people is really important. And for us, we try to build a first network and give young people the first opportunity, so they build that network and they have something to put on their CV, etc. So both work, building a business or starting from zero, you really rely, or you really need those networks, I think. Right. My mom has to deliver newspaper. That's straight away. Big, I say, like very close need of network, your direct family, lots of jobs you get because of your uncle or your, etc. Right.
Excellent.
I think there was a question from Hormuz and from Magid as well.
First of all, I really want to try your bread. Just listening to you. The problem is I'm in Manchester, but anyway, we'll make it work. The question I had was, what really resonated is that you said it can take quite a lot of time for things to happen. I just wondered, what made you believe that you could do it and kind of persisted with it. Any tips for anyone?
I think when I started in Breadwinners, I didn't found it, but when I started, I was a one-man band. And you are full of passion and you are, okay, I'm gonna try. You do a lot of trial and error, but you can't feel alone. So first of all, you need to have some people, even sometimes friends, but then you need somebody, there's another social entrepreneur or another. So I would argue that maybe this group that you guys have now, use it as much as you can, because people will go through similar experiences. And so for us, for me, it was really important to be on other programs with other social entrepreneurs. And that is just for moral support, because it's going to be tough and you need some people on your team or some people to see that, okay, somebody else is going through the same, so he can do it or she can do it, I can do it as well. So yes, I think that would be the first most important network at the beginning. Then you try to meet and you try to get opportunities of business, etc. And some of them might work, some of them might not work. And later on, one connection that you did long time ago, for example, Turn invites you to do something, or who knows. And then I think it's not a planned thing. I think if you keep in mind that building relationship is something that will help you without expecting it to help you, like not really expecting that you're going to get something out of it, maybe that's the best way to approach it. Because if you go full on with the thinking that, okay, I want something very specific, then that's not really networking. That I would say is maybe pitching or selling, really, more than networking. Networking, I think, is just building relationships that then will support you.
Great answer. Thank you so much.
There was a question from Magid as well.
Yes, hi. First of all, that was a very impressive presentation, and I had quite a few, actually, a few questions. The first one was, through the internet or maybe through some different services, now you can reach so many people. You can deliver your message to a lot of people, and by doing a simple research over the internet, now you can get a pretty decent amount of information about a person, so you can know where that person is, and you can know how to reach him, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to networking, do I have to consider it? It's a question related to Fred's question, actually. Do I have to consider delivering the message to everyone at once? I remember that one of my uncles, he used to go fishing, and he used to tell me that whenever if you go fishing, if you have something that worth for the fish to come over, the fish will find you, and it's also related to your question about my first job, or even within different jobs over here. I usually, offer my services for free. And if I could market my skills well, I can win you as a client, so it is related to it. So sorry, it was a long discussion related to everything at once. So back to the question, if I can reach people, like if I have an agency that can actually could make my message go to the king, let's say, can I go for it? Or should I wait for a little bit?
Interesting. I don't know what, I think that comes back to, like, if you are really networking, or are you selling or pitching at that point, or through that network? I think when we put things out in social media or in LinkedIn or anywhere, sometimes you might be aiming to you have a call to action, potentially something very tangible, right? You want people to sign up to something, or you want people to come and volunteer, or you want them to sell bread. I wouldn't really think that would be networking for me. But calling the king, if you have the telephone number, or going to meet randomly, you know, if you see somebody on the street, you see the king on the street, and I would try my best to say, hey, I'm Martin from Breadwinners, and we do this, because and that's it. I'm not asking the king to give me anything or do anything for me. But I already told the king about Breadwinners, and maybe one day the king is gonna say, I want some bread. I don't know. And
Yeah,
then,
it's just an example. Like maybe
Yeah.
you know, if you are a medical person, let's say, you know, so you could deliver your message to different medical facilities, you know, at once. So if I can, let's say, if I will try to categorize it to my business, if I have the ability to deliver my message literally to every city or every neighborhood in London, should I start focusing on my own community first and then spreading, or should I start delivering the message or delivering the service to everyone at once?
I'm gonna bring it back to you. What do you think is the best, Majid? What do you think it would be the best?
For me, I think the best is, you know, to use this marvelous tool that called internet, you know, and to try to deliver the message to the most maximum people as much as I can, you know. And if I need to hire a team, I have that ability to hire a team. So why not, you know? Let's try to cover London as a beginning, and then I will start covering different other cities beside around London, and then spread to cover the UK. Who knows?
It sounds like you have a plan. Then, you know,
Yes, I do.
For me, you know, many times, you know, you spend a lot of time thinking what is the right decision, what is this or that, and then actually sometimes it's better to just try, make a mistake or not. Maybe it works, and if you didn't try it, at least you don't know. But if you try and you make a mistake, then you learn from it, and then you do it differently, and then you keep on going. So I would say,
totally agree.
yeah, and I think it will depend a lot on each, because you sound like you can do it, while maybe some other person or us, we couldn't really, we wouldn't have the resource or the time to approach absolutely everybody at the same time. So then we might want to go step by step, and it just depends on each. So I don't think it's a right or wrong answer, and it will totally depend on your own organization and what you're trying to do. And again, I don't think also the two approaches potentially one, you know, depends how you do it. You will learn 100% from it about going through it.
Agreed. Thank you so much for your answer. Thank you.
And it actually leads really nicely on to Aruba's question around when you're talking about mistakes and learning from that and things. And Aruba, do you want to ask that? And then I think that's the last question, because I think we want to hear a little bit from Social Enterprise UK and Chris as well. But Aruba, go ahead, take yourself off mute, and you can ask that question.
Sure. Thanks, Lucas. So I actually have two questions. One of them goes really good with Hormuz's question. What are the limitations you faced while you were making partnership? And the one goes after that is, how would you tackle those limitations to make the right partnership? And like, how would you know that this partnership will work in the long term? Even like remotely work in the long term, how do you know that? So like, I know there's human error, and I know that there is like human reluctance as well in the making, that this is not the right person, this is not the right partnership, and you still go forward and you still talk to that person. But at the same time, you know, that really deep down gut feeling that, okay, this is not the right step for me right now. How do you overcome that challenge?
Very interesting question. I think that the most important thing is that you have something in common, or that you want to, either your mission or something, or there's some you think, or the both persons that or whoever you're interacting with, you think that they and that could be, it could be the mission, or it could be something else. It doesn't need to be the mission. It could be the experience. It could be some passion that you might have in common, anything. And then how you will never know if that is going to work or not. So you also need to be aware that potentially many connections or many things might not bring anything, or you don't know when. It might take long time. And so I wouldn't do networking with a goal, right? With a goal of, okay, I'm gonna meet 100 people and 20 of them are gonna offer us, you know, to buy bread from us or something like that. I wouldn't do it as a objective. I would approach it as these people are interesting and we have something in common. I would like to know more about them and maybe they want to know more about us, and then see what happens, I think. And there was something else I can't remember from your question, if you don't mind. I don't know if I replied to the whole question, but yeah, I wouldn't tackle networking with a very, very specific goal, or because also you can spend a lot of time networking and not doing your task that you need to do, right? I think there's a combination there of doing your work and also acknowledging that you will need networks that will help you. But I would, when I'm networking, I don't do it with a very specific goal. I don't know, that's me. Maybe they should be, but you sort of try to do it a bit more natural and also be mindful of your own time. So you don't want to spend 100% of your time networking because you also need to do your thing, right? But recognize that if you have opportunities, for me, this one is a clear opportunity to network with all of you, connect with Tern that I haven't been in touch because, you know, then you are busy on your own thing. So you don't connect with all your partners all the time, and with Chris as well. And so I took it, but, you know, yeah, it's not that I'm on my weekly task. I'm not constantly doing this or looking for these things. And this, you know, maybe nothing happens, or maybe one day we partner with any of you, you know, I don't know what might happen. And I also don't have a clear objective. Okay, I want to at least have one partnership from this call. So I do it because I know that at some point it might be helpful to do this.
Excellent, Martin. Thank you so much for that. I think you've shared your contact details in the chat, so anyone on the call can get in touch with you afterwards if they have further follow-ups. But yeah, I think yeah, that's just such a great story and brilliant to hear from a fantastic social enterprise and how they've used networks and stuff in the past. And I think it leads. Oh, sorry, I've just been unpinned. Are you look? Sorry, my screen's just flashing over a little bit there. I think that leads quite nicely on to sort of our role and SEUK's role in sort of helping social enterprises access networks. And I think, you know, when you talk about finding organizations with similar values, similar ideas, similar businesses, where better to start than a network that's dedicated to social enterprise. So thank you very much, Martin, for sort of leading us nicely down that way. I'll share my screen and start talking about us. Hang on, let's just, can everyone see that? We're going to presenter mode. Can people see that?
Just loading. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Lucas. Okay, so as you know, just to sort of start off with our network, obviously, you know, we are the largest network of social enterprises in the UK, but sometimes that's quite hard to understand what that means. So I thought it would just be really handy to break it down in numbers. We currently have 3,372 members. Of those, 355 of them are social enterprises. So they're organizations like Turn, like Results CIC, Breadwinners, organizations that have gone through our certification process and been given the stamp of approval as social enterprises. And the other side of our membership are our supporter members. So these are organizations that want to work with the social enterprise sector. They might want to buy from social enterprises and partner with you in that way. They might want to partner in other ways. So, for example, learning opportunities, development, all that sort of thing. But essentially, what all of these members, all of these 3,300 odd members have in common is that shared passion about social enterprise. Yeah, that's so sort of moving on and talking a little bit about how sort of SEUK operates and how you can access the network. I'd like to do that by talking a little bit about our strategy and sort of really much sort of laying that out and giving you a clear idea of the work we do on a day-to-day basis, supporting members, creating that sort of future value in the terms of market opportunities. And then finally, I'll touch on some of the sort of policy and research work we do as well.
So starting very much on the sort of day-to-day member benefits you get from joining SEUK. So the first thing you get is the certification. Like I mentioned, we certify social enterprises, and we give those social enterprises a logo to say they're clearly identified as a social enterprise. Obviously, when you're talking to people, talking to customers, talking to partners, it gives you a really clear understanding of who, it gives them, sorry, a really clear understanding of who you are and what your values are as an organization. So in a world with lots of different types of business certifications, this is a really powerful one to use when talking about yourself, and especially to other people as well. We also give you access, like I said, to the largest network of social enterprises in the UK. We have different ways we do this. So we have a very large following on social media. We can help you sort of spread the word about your news, your events, and stuff like that. So why not sort of sign up for that? We then have a newsletter that goes out to all our members and wider network to help you promote those as well. So there are different ways you can access the network in terms of promotion and in terms of talking about what you've got coming up. And I should have also said, sorry, at the beginning, that for startup organizations, this is a free service. This is a free membership for organizations with an annual turnover under £100,000. So, you know, again, it's a little bit of a no-brainer to be a part of this. But yeah, really sort of powerful way of getting your message across to the social enterprise sector. We then have a series of events and discounted events. So, for example, I met Martin for the first time at an event we did with one of our partners, the University of, or sort of King's College London. So he came along to that. That's how I got to know Martin. And these are events that we run through our network on a regular basis, either online or in person. It's a great opportunity to come along. You'll either get completely free access or discounted access, depending on the event. We do obviously the big award ceremony at the end of each year as well. So there's loads of different things going on throughout the year that you can get access to, and a really great opportunity to meet those fellow social entrepreneurs and supporter members of SEUK as well. I wanted to touch on this as well, because obviously a few of you are might still be sort of starting up your social enterprise, might be sort of forming business plans and stuff like that. So for those startup organizations, we do offer a bit of support. We have some legal partners who offer free legal advice and some financial shared services. So if you're looking to get your accounts in order, it's quite handy to access that sort of thing. We also have a wonderful business consultant who can talk to you about business planning, about you know, setting up different sort of legal structures and stuff. So lots of different support opportunities through the network as well. And I also then wanted to touch on, that sort of feeds into this a bit, our webinars as well. And I think money's been raised a couple of times today, sort of social investment and funding and funders like that. So we do regular webinars on topics like this. So for example, last week we did an intro guide to social investment, how you as a social enterprise can access social investment. And it was a really useful session for people to come along, learn a little bit about that, and again, come away with a contact at a social investment firm, social enterprise investment company, and again, making those sort of connections through our webinars and events. Finally on this, well, not finally, I've got one little sneak peek for something that we've got coming up that's quite exciting. But we also run regular campaigns throughout the year. And this is, again, another really good opportunity to get involved with the work we do and get your voice across about sort of your story or your impact, your products, your services. So a big overarching campaign is the Buy Social campaign, runs throughout the year, aiming to sort of raise awareness and raise the profile of social enterprises. We'll also be doing things around, you know, the general election, because obviously lots going on there to make sure that the voice for social enterprises is heard. So yeah, lots sort of going on, and excitingly, I think we've mentioned the internet, and the internet's come up, the wonderful tool of the internet, and sort of how to use that. So obviously, we're very aware that you need to have that sort of continuous access to our network to really get benefit from being part of the membership. So what we're developing, and this is launching, this is not quite ready yet, but I'm giving you the sneak peek here today. What we're launching in the next couple of months is our new members area. So this is also potentially news for Result, CSE and Turn as well. So a good little sneak peek for them. But essentially what this will do is give you complete access to the membership
online. So it'd be like an online forum. There are different ways you can see here. So you can see like the member feed. You can share your updates, share your news there. There's a direct message notification, so you can contact people directly who are on this platform, fellow members of SEUK. You can share your events and share your offers as well. So you've got all these different layers, all this different access coming. You can also keep up to date with what SEUK is doing. So there's an SEUK space, there's a webinar space. You can use it to browse all our webinar recordings and stuff. So lots of different tools there available coming, and on all. So a very exciting time to be joining, because this is a good opportunity for you to sort of access that network in an online capacity without having to leave your living room. Although do make sure it's warmer than this room I'm in at the moment. Okay, so moving back to the sort of the strategy piece. So I've obviously mentioned sort of the day-to-day benefits of being part of the network. What SEUK does a lot is also try and create that sort of future for social enterprise, create new opportunities for social enterprise, and help you make those partners in a business sense, essentially. So we do that by operating across every area of the economy, because obviously social enterprises operate in every area of the economy. So our work has to obviously reflect that. So we work very closely with public sector bodies. We've been heavily involved with things like the Social Value Act, which is all about making sure that government contracts have to take into account social value. And then we run something called the Bi-Social Corporate Challenge within the private sector, and we're doing some more exciting developments there. So I'll touch on that. There's likely to be a few more opportunities there. And finally, our consumer piece, we run a few programs there as well that can support you if you're selling goods to individual customers. So we work on the public sector. We work quite closely with to support public bodies, including local authorities, clinical commissioning groups, probation trusts, all these different organisations in government to support and buy from social enterprises, essentially. So lots going on there. Again, I mentioned the election campaign. There'll be a lot going on around our work within the public sector going forwards. So do watch this space. If you are selling goods and large quantities, so what Martin didn't actually mention, that he is one of these social enterprises on the Bi-Social Corporate Challenge. This is all about getting big businesses to buy from social enterprises. So we have our 30 corporate partners who are on the Bi-Social Corporate Challenge, and we work with them to make sure that they are integrating and buying from social enterprises in their supply chains. All our social enterprises have the opportunity to go through a quick test to make sure they're sort of ready to supply these corporate contracts, and then we put you as a trusted supplier. And I'll show you a little bit more about that later. We've got some more exciting sort of stuff there as well. So yeah, a really, as you're growing your business, as you're growing your social enterprise, it's a really good opportunity to tap into these new markets, new market opportunities, and hopefully create a bit of value for your business going forward. So this is where I just wanted to quickly stop, because we have something called the Bi-Social Directory. We've launched this very recently, relaunched it very recently. It's essentially a Google for social enterprises. So we're trying to use it to help consumers, fellow social enterprises, businesses find and locate social enterprises. So all our members get access to this. So if you join SEUK, you will have a profile on this directory. I'll stop sharing just to show you what it looks like in practice. And let me just share again.
Chris, can I just ask, do you have to be a member to access this?
You don't have to be a member to access the directory. To feature on the directory, you have to be a member of SEUK.
Okay, and is that live again now, the directory?
The directory is live. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, I'll share the link now.
Perfect. Thank you, Lucas. So it's very easy to use. You can obviously, if you know the name of a social enterprise, you can type them in and it will pop up, hopefully. It's loading. There we go. So you can find them like that. Or you can list them. So for example, if you want to find a social enterprise that works in a similar social or environmental mission to yourself, you can find them. So say refugees and asylum seekers. If I just remove breadwinners so we get all of them. There we go. You can find those social enterprises with that common mission to yourselves as well. And then you can also say you're a food and drink social enterprise who want to partner with fellow food and drink social enterprises. You can find those who work in hospitality and food or in other sectors as well. So really, a really useful tool to locate potential partners, potential organizations you might want to meet and network with and partner going forwards. Excellent. I will quickly just reshare my presentation. Hopefully this starts off where I left off. Is that back, everyone?
Looking good.
Thank you, Lucas. Okay, so finally on the market side is the local market. So we obviously operate as a UK-wide body, but we don't have that sort of local expertise. So what we've done, because we've identified that social enterprises often work very closely with their local communities, local organizations, we've put together the Social Enterprise Places scheme. Essentially, all these places have undergone a certification process to show that there's lots of social enterprises in that area. There's certain buy-in from local businesses as well to the social enterprise ideals. And they've been certified as a social enterprise UK place. We've then appointed an SEUK ambassador to that place who acts as a focal point for that network. So please, anyone on this call, like if you are looking at this and thinking, I want to meet social enterprises in Greenwich, I want to meet social enterprises in Salford, in Greater Manchester, please do get in touch with us. We can arrange those introductions for you, and you can access that local network of social enterprises right on your doorstep. So yeah, really, really valuable tool of finding those close to you. So finally, what I wanted to touch on just finally is our policy work. So this is stuff we do to promote social enterprise, to make sure that it's not just about the here and now. You're not just thriving in the here and now. We're creating that future for social enterprise. We're currently gathering evidence for our State of Social Enterprise survey, which will be going live. And it's to highlight the impact social enterprises are having. It's to highlight the challenges you're facing, and it can be challenges you face as a startup social enterprise, as a scaling social enterprise, and then we take that to government to make sure that social enterprises have the support they need and the voice is being heard at a policy level. So again, that's a really important part of the network. The more members we have, the more powerful our voice is when we do that. Finally, I just wanted to share some quick wins. So how to make the most of the network. Make sure you're signed up to our newsletter. You can do that if you're not a member. You can go on our website and sign up, or you can join as a member and you'll automatically get signed up to our newsletter. That will just keep you up to date with all the events and programs we've got coming up, and of course it'll be where you hear about the new launch of the members area and stuff like that as well. So make sure you're signed up to that. If you're a member, make sure the directory profile is up to date. We'll be pushing more and more people towards that. So please just have a little look. Check out our webinars. We've got a few public webinars. So if you're not a member of SEUK, there are a few public webinars on the website. You can look at those. If you join SEUK, and you'll be soon able to access all the recordings and upcoming webinars through the member portal, the members area. I also just want to mention here that the business consultant, if you have any questions about sort of starting up your social enterprise or business planning or funding or all that sort of stuff, get in touch and we can arrange a one-to-one consultancy session with her. She'll be more than happy to support you with that that side of things. Finally, recommend, obviously if you've joined SEUK, share our network with other people, tell people to join. It's all about growing the village, as has been said quite beautifully a couple of times today. So make sure we encourage the growth of this wonderful sector. And finally, it's always the case, we're a large membership organization. If you get in touch, if you're actively promoting yourselves, or not promoting yourselves, but like talking to us and reaching out, that's when you get the most of it. So if you have anything you'd like us to share, like us to talk about, any kind of event you've got coming up, please do let us know. You can email, I'll share my personal email as well after, I think it's at the end of this slide, but that'll be shared afterwards, but you can also reach out to membership@socialenterprise.org.uk. So finally, just for me to finish off my presentation, sorry, I've been bombarding you with a lot of info about SEUK, but we do believe that together with our members, we are the voice for social enterprise in the UK, and we do believe that this is the best chance for creating a fairer world and protecting the planet. You can follow us on Twitter, you can see the website there, the link will be shared, I'm sure, and yeah, please do reach out to me if you have any questions. And about any of this. So thank you very much for listening. If there's any questions now, sorry, I haven't been able to follow the chat while I was presenting there.
That's brilliant, Chris. Thank you so much. I think Mabube had a question. I know you are looking after your boys, so I can ask it for you, so you don't have to come off mute if you want. Just wants to double check. You need to be a member in order to contact or get to know other social enterprises locally. So if I was searching, do their contacts come up?
Their contacts don't come up, unfortunately. But you know, obviously, if you are a member, you can then find them on the members area. So that's quite handy. You can still search and find the ones local to you and go on their website and reach out if you're not a member. So it's still a really useful tool to use and find potential partners, even if you're not a member of SEUK. Obviously, I would encourage you to join to get that extra access.
Great, thank you, Chris. Are there any other questions at all for Chris before we take a little break?
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Me, it's Laila. Hi. Can you please tell us a little bit in summary what's the requirement to register as a social enterprise with social enterprise?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 5 criteria. So if you want to be a social enterprise, we have 5 criteria we set out. So obviously, the big one is being a mission-driven business. So you have a social or environmental mission as the heart of what you do, and you then work to reinvest the majority of profits back into that mission. If you're just starting out, we're not too harsh on that second point, because we know you might be reliant on funding and stuff like that when you sort of growing your social enterprise. So again, it's quite sort of straightforward process about joining it. You just fill out an online application form. We then assess it to make sure you meet those criteria, and then if you don't and you would like to, we can offer some support. So like our business consultant, for example, can help you articulate your social mission in your governing documents and stuff like that. So it's, yeah, if you have any sort of detailed questions about the process, we can sort of reach out offline and take it there.
Okay, great. That's amazing. And where can I find the criteria to kind of like?
I will share the about membership page in the chat, and that will give you all the info in the chat. So I'll put that in there now. So I was just about to send that just to Lucas. I'll send that to everyone. There you go. It's there. It's 5 criteria, but again, you know, if you have any questions about them, or certainly, or you're a bit uncertain of whether you meet them, please do just let us know, and we're happy to support.
And just to add on that as well, I think this is something that I'm doing, and with Chris as well, who's done a little bit of work on this already from the ideas into action side, but loads obviously from your own side. But we are building out more and more essential sort of information page around Social Enterprise UK, especially with the launch of the new platform and how to sign up for that. So we will share that with you. So all these links and how to sign up and the benefits and where to go, we are going to make as essential information page to share with you and with future participants and social entrepreneurs on the Ideas into Action program as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lucas.
Any other questions at all? I don't see anyone. I'm just going to remove the spotlight so everyone can join me in thanking Chris. You can remove the spotlight off me so we can all see each other. So we can do this and say bye. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming and sharing the amazing network Social Enterprise UK and coming. And we look forward to seeing you more on the Ideas.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. And yeah, please do reach out. I'll put my contact details in the chat, and Lucas, I'm sure you'll share them afterwards as well.
I certainly will. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Cheers.
Welcome, Bertie Hertage, a crowdfunding coach, crowdfunding officer on the Ideas into Action program, but also is the founder of the Crowdfunding Coach. He's worked on hundreds of crowdfunding campaigns. He's going to be working with everybody that does choose to crowdfund as well on the Ideas into Action program. But I wanted to invite Bertie today because he's also an absolute expert at networking. So I thought, who better to talk to you about networking then a networking expert, Bertie. So we're going to start with actually, how do you actually build out your network from a small amount? How do we go? And Bertie is going to tell us how to do that. So Bertie, if you are there, I will pass straight over to you. And I've just realized that the power of this workshop is lots of different voices, so you can see networking in action, as it were. Bertie, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Lucas. And I really enjoyed that intro music from Fred. It felt like the credits of an American sitcom, which I think we're all part of. So that was a great framing for the networking episode. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, and very well played with that comment, by the way, Bertie. I've just got to give you some props there.
Okay, awesome. And can you see me as well? There I am. Okay, all right. Back in action. Thank you, Lucas, Hormoz, Jane, and Fred for having me. And welcome to all of the Turn entrepreneurs here today. It's really wonderful to have a chance to talk to you about network mapping. Something that I myself am always doing, because similar to yourselves, I started a social business last year. And actually, I was also inspired by Turn and their team to start it. So I'm very much, I think, within the same place as many of you. And the natural part of developing my business has been to network. So I think today really is a really good opportunity to tell you a little bit about how I've been networking and using it as a business development activity myself. But it's very much all of the tools that I teach through the crowdfunding process for those people who might be interested in using crowdfunding to raise money at a later date. So we've got 20 minutes now just to talk to you about networking. And I think that would be a good opportunity to ask any questions. So do pop them in the chat and we'll address them perhaps before the breakout session, where we've got 35 minutes to test some of my tools for building a network map yourselves. So we're going to be covering why is network mapping important, how to break your project or business into its key themes, and using network mapping to uncover your audience before moving on to the exercises. So I think that as entrepreneurs, we do so much of our work alone. And no thanks to COVID, in some ways, we do it even more solitary because we're behind a screen. While it's done us many favors in the fact that we can run workshops like this today and all be part of it, no matter where we are in the UK, it still means that we're slightly disjointed and estranged from one another. And I really, really believe that human beings are social animals, and that to thrive, we really need to be part of a community. And I always think of the African proverb that's well talked about, is if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And I think that's very easy. Basically, there are moments, of course, where we've got to get our heads down and do the work. But we, as entrepreneurs in this social sector, are part of a much bigger ecosystem. And these are all our own ideas that we're impressing on others. These are the solutions that we believe can tackle society's greatest problems. But we can't develop our social enterprise behind closed doors. I suppose the first part of that that phrase or term social enterprise is social. So we've got to be good at connecting with people. And it comes much easier to some people than others. For example, that you've got the introvert and the extrovert. I'm an introvert, so I prefer hanging out in my own company, and I have to make a real effort to become more extroverted when it comes to business. So it means being much better at reaching out to people and starting conversations. But in fact, I think as an entrepreneur, you have to be really cognizant and remind yourself that it energizes you to have conversations, because to learn is really important and to share what you're doing is really important. So my advice is to try and speak to everyone through this networking process at least once a day, because it keeps you fresh, it keeps you from operating in isolation and connects you to the wider world, which is what this is all about. And for those of you who are reticent to start or are afraid to make the first move, or want everything to be perfect before you share with the world what you've got to say and what you're doing, I'd say you've got to start somewhere. I always think about this: start somewhere. That's the best way really to get things going, to get the ball rolling. And I like to think that if I make the effort to perhaps write to 10 people today or 20 people today, then the next day when I wake up, I'm much further along than I was the day before. And I think the natural part of the networking process and reaching out to people is that if you do a lot of it, it can be really slow going to begin with, but it begins to get traction after a while, and you start to hear from people, and it fills up your diary with these opportunities to talk to people, and it makes you feel really good and empowered and inspired about what you're doing. So my advice is don't wait, start now, because it's going to really help shape the context of what you do and how you develop your social enterprise. So a few networking essentials for you. Here are the do's and the don'ts. So you've got to be brave. Like I said, it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but we have to talk about what we're doing, and we need feedback from others, because these are our ideas and we need to feed of other people and allow them to influence what we're doing. So you've got to do your research. This is my favorite thing because it involves lots and lots of time behind your laptop, investigating, going down different wormholes and channels, and getting excited about discovery. So this research is really what we're going to be doing today, to uncover exactly who our audience is, who the main players within our network are, and how we get in touch with them. And you've got to know your story and what you want from each meeting. So this is what is quite useful when it comes to crowdfunding, is that you've got this page which tells your story of who you are, what you're doing, why it's important, and how it's going to happen. And I think that's useful for everyone. So my advice is to have a little crib sheet, a little kind of Word doc which just says exactly that: who you are, what you're doing, why it's important, and how is it going to happen. Because when it comes to networking, you don't want to be umming and erring and tripping over yourself trying to explain what it is you're doing. So you've got to be good at being able to do a concise delivery that people understand. And one of my points is that the more you speak to people about what you do, the more you're going to refine how you present it, because you will be able to see through talking to people what points you're making are landing. I always like to think about, when it comes to coaching or teaching, when playing tennis, are you getting it over the net, or is the ball landing in a net and they don't understand? So you've got to speak to lots of people, and that will help you phrase exactly what you do, so that it resonates and it makes sense to as many people as possible. And you've got to keep a record and status of your conversations and your outreach. So be really sure that you're actually contacting people. And and making known of what you're trying to do. So follow up. If you haven't heard back from people, make sure you check in to see if they received your message, and make time for networking every week, because it'll start to feed back to you and really help. So you don't wait to start talking people, got to start somewhere. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's something that always was drilled into me I think in England. It's quite a popular saying. And resilience is key. It is tough out there. Just because we're doing something good for society, it doesn't mean that the doors just fly open. And we've got to therefore have quite a thick skin in how we approach it. So we're going to look at networking. So we're going to break down your project into themes, conduct desktop research to build lists, start reaching out to people, and making sure that we follow up with them. So my example that we're going to look at today is breadwinners. Can you believe it? I had no idea that Martin was actually going to be on the call today. But I thought that I'd have a look at their organization because I love it. They, of course, are a social enterprise which provides employment opportunities for refugees who are struggling to find work. And the way I would look at building a network for them and who I'd like to connect with, I'd start with my key themes of interest. So here you go, you've got the location. So where do you want to network? So I look at breadwinners. I know they operate in London. They have markets in 9 different boroughs. So you've got Kensington, Chelsea, Camden, Waltham Forest, Southwark, Bermondsey, Lambeth, Bromley, and Tower Hamlets, or 8 boroughs rather. And they operate in Brighton. What are their networking goals, or what do they represent? What's their audience? We've got refugee, asylum, community, and markets. And what can they offer people through their organization? And that is employment, well-being, jobs, training, work experience, bread, and food. And who else is doing this? Who are kind of the other competitors within the same landscape? And I found My Grateful, the Refugee Cafe, Refugee Community Kitchen, and the Mariah Neo Bistro. So this is essentially what we're going to do, is you build up these key themes, and then you use them as search terms to uncover where your audience is and who is talking about your subject matter. So use Google, use Facebook, and use LinkedIn. Those are the 3 kind of key tools that you can use to uncover where your network lives. And this essentially is an excuse to build your socials. So I think the key tools that any organization has in this day and age is Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I think these are great networking assets that you can use and are really important for your own development. So what we're going to do in the breakout is have a look at building your key themes, and then using them as search terms to uncover who your organization is. So I'm going to show you quickly how I did this by sharing another screen. Ooh. Okay. Right. So once you access the ideas into action network map, you have lots of different columns to describe exactly who you're reaching out to. So we want to focus on these 3 sections really. And for example, today we heard from Chris Morgan. He's the membership manager for Social Enterprise UK, and therefore a very important person to connect with. So we know his organization name. We haven't perhaps reached out to him yet, but you can include this in by clicking from a drop-down menu. And this is how you can record where you are in the status of that conversation. So perhaps you reach out to him today. If you don't hear back from him in a week, maybe you send your first chaser. So that's an email to follow up, to make sure he got your message and to ensure that you start the conversation. He offered us his email on his slide, so we can make a record of that. We know his LinkedIn page. If we needed an introduction, we could approach Turn, but we met him in a network map, and he is a networking event, and he's a potential partner. So hopefully this is a bit of a clear indication of how to proceed. But what I've done here is just shown you what the different organizations I've uncovered and the individuals behind them through using those key search terms. So, for example, we looked at in the presentation these search terms. So if I'm using the location and the ultimate goal of to support refugees, then I might use Google by searching Kensington and Chelsea and refugees. We go Kensington and Chelsea refugees. So I go through, okay, I can see that they've got the council website here. And I can see that they list Migrants Organise, based in Ladbroke Grove, as one of their support organisations. So from this, I can see who their team is. And then from their team, I find the most appropriate person to speak to, which is, I think was Heike Langbeen, their advice manager, and it offers their email address here. So what I do is I go back to my network map, I put Heike's name in there, I put the organization for reference. I know that the email rule of what their email address should be will be the latter part of their web address. So this bit, at migrantsorganise.org. So I can fill that in and perhaps come back to it later to find a more specific email, although we did see it listed in the team section. But you can find her on LinkedIn. If you don't have any partners who can directly introduce you, it might be that you choose that it will be a direct introduction. And from looking on their website, I know that they are a funder. So they have grants available that could support me as a social enterprise, and therefore could be of interest to me. So if we looked at go back to our key themes of interest as another example, we might look at who else is doing this. So Migrateful is a cookery school where the lessons are done by refugees, teaching their local cuisine, and therefore providing employment opportunities. So what I know that they are within my, I suppose, they are a similar organization to myself. I will Google them and I can just really trace to see where they're appearing in the news, for example. So I can see that here we've had an article from the Tab, which is a university magazine. So we know therefore that the Tab is interested in refugee subjects and conversations. So therefore you would look up the Tab, you'd find the editor or the journalist who wrote the story, and you'd contact them. So, but I can see that there's an article here that's written that Migrateful received £6,000 from the Gatwick Foundation Fund, and that from this article it also tells me that there's £33,000 available for projects during that the cost of living crisis. And because they've supported a refugee-led project before that's providing employment opportunities, they might be interested in doing the same again. So I work back from that. So I find the person who is quoted in this from the organization. That's Melanie Wrightson. So I add her into my network map. Melanie Wrightson, organization name. We've got the Gatwick Foundation Fund. We can research to see what the email address will be. It's at gatwickairport.com. Find her on LinkedIn, and know that I don't know anyone who can introduce me unless, of course, I know someone at the My Grateful organization, and that they are a funder. So there are lots and lots of different ways to build out a network. And what was interesting is talking, listening to Martin today about how they find clients. So he referred to another social enterprise, which is Change Please. And Change Please is a coffee-led business which employs people suffering from homelessness to get back into the working world and receive training to sell coffee. So we know that for a coffee shop, it's likelihood that they'll have different sandwiches, pastries, and bread. So it makes sense that there's a collaborative effort, perhaps, to support another vulnerable category of people in this sense. It's refugee-led employment. So they might be a good contact and therefore a client or beneficiary. So what we do is we visit changeplease.org and we see who their team members are and find an appropriate team member to contact. So that is a whistle-stop tour in really what I propose in terms of how we start a networking experience. I know we've run over a little bit, and would like to kind of get on with the exercise. So just perhaps if we've got the links available from Lucas that we could supply, so that everyone can start adding in their own key themes of interest, and start creating lists for their network map. And perhaps, would it be a good idea to answer any questions in the breakout groups?
I think that's a good idea, Bertie. Yeah, what Bert is just alluding to there is the link for the worksheet. You'll see this template here. You saw the one that Bertie was filling out. That is in your worksheet. The link is there in the chat. Maybe Fred, you could reshare that just so it's fresh and everyone can click that. That's section 3 in your worksheet, so you can start developing the key themes. And then, as Bertie said, start building out your network map, which is a new tool we have built for you. The power of networks, we are using this in this workshop to other people's strengths, and Bertie's strength is many different things, but one of them is definitely understanding networks, how to utilize, how to find, and how to grow them. So thank you so much, Bertie. And one part of a network that you can get a lot from is partnerships, and that's the focus of the network mapping that we're going to do today. So obviously there's a lot of different things you can get from your network. Partnerships is just one aspect of it, and we're going to use that today. In the future, you'll be using your networks for finding volunteers. You'll be using your networks for funding, for crowdfunding support, right? But today we're going to be looking at partnerships, and it's all about uniting behind shared values and common purpose, seeing and recognizing different strengths, but working towards a common objective with other organizations to add value to one another, but also to others that you are directly supporting. Okay, so I've actually got the exact proverb in here in my script that Bertie said. So obviously it is a very important one that, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And partnerships are an amazing way of achieving organizational goals, right? Let's look at Turn, Results CIC, Social Enterprise UK. 3 partners there. And the reason why is because we recognize each other's strengths. We recognized where we could support each other to ultimately produce the best social entrepreneurship incubation program for refugee social entrepreneurs for you guys. So you know, it's about finding that common value, finding that common ground as well, and finding your own strengths. Now, it is hard and difficult asking for help, and there is an inner voice inside, and I'm very guilty of this, to be honest, asking for help sometimes, and it's perfectly natural, right? But if we think a little bit more outside of that, and we actually want to adapt what we call a collaborative mindset, right? We want to adapt to something where you can collaborate with other organizations. And this honestly is your biggest strength. This is social entrepreneurs, in my opinion, this is their biggest strength, is their ability to work collaboratively to an end goal, right? You can recognize your own strength, that you can add value to somebody else or another organization. But at the same time, you can recognize someone else's strengths that add value to you, right? So this collaborative mindset, I think this ability to work so well with other people, to want to work so well with other people, and to want to reach out to see people who might do things better than you, which is absolutely fine, but you might also do things better than other people, right? All of it is uniting towards a common goal of working together and collaboratively to achieve a common goal, common purpose, and ultimately help the people you're working with. So there's lots of good partners, right? But good partners make each other's work faster, they make it bigger, they make it easier, they can make it cheaper, they can make it better for your end users, and they can make it more sustainable. Because if you work together, you will go further. Excuse me. Exactly as the proverb says. So today, we want to reframe this word how, right? We want to reframe this word how. How am I going to get that space? How am I going to get that money that I need? How am I going to find the people I want to support? We want to reframe that how, and we want to reframe it into who. So we want to start thinking about partners. We want to start thinking about who is it that can help you on your journey, right? Who is it that's out there that can help you and your organization to reach the end goals? Who is it that you can climb a mountain with and get over that, right? If we reframe that how into who, and we start thinking collaboratively, you're going to go much, much further. You're going to really deepen and better the impact on the communities, on the societies, on the people that you all want to do. You're going to create more change with people that you're supporting. So when we're looking at this and when we're thinking about who, we can't just go and be like, right, I'm going to get that. I need a coffee shop space. It doesn't work like that. A collaborative mindset is about what you can offer people as well, right? And what is for the end user. So you need to start thinking of something which is called a win-win-win. Okay? So what is, first of all, your organization's win? So what do you need? Do you need space, right? Is that a big win if someone could give you space? Maybe you need to, you need food donations, right? That you're using because you have a cafe and you can't afford that at the moment. What is your organization's win that you really need right now? So then you can go and look and find partners and think about partners using your network map to reach out. But when you approach partners, you can start thinking, what's their win? What can you offer them? Maybe someone's giving you space, but you have loads of people you're working with, right? So you could say, well, if you give us the space, right, your organization also wants to work with the people that I'm working with. So you can bring people to that space. So what's your partner's win? So you're thinking in the frame of this mindset, which is your own strengths, where you recognize your own strengths as well as what you need. But, and this is so important, and maybe the most important one of them all, what are your users' win, right? What is it that the end user of your organization is going to get because of this partnership, because of your collaborative mindset? So when we're thinking about this win-win-win, we want to be thinking about yourself. What do you need? What's your win from this partnership? Why are you approaching them? What's your partner's win? What's your strength? What can you offer them? But what is it for your end users? And the reason why they need to be in there as well, and it's so important, is because you don't want to partner with another organization that doesn't have the end users at the heart of what you're doing, right? You want to keep them within the journey as well, right? So the two of you can work together to be achieving a common win for the end user. So when you start thinking about this, you might start thinking, what do I need? Okay, right? What is it that's really holding me back to achieve my goals, right? But when you're asking yourself this question, think a little bit as well about like, what is it that my partners need? Maybe from initial conversations, maybe from research, you actually might know what do your partners actually need? And what do your beneficiaries need? What do your service users need? What do your users need? What do your people need? Whatever it is, however you want to say that, what is it that people need at the end? And then start thinking, now, how could you collaboratively partner together? You want to be creative about it. How might you be able to add value to each other's organizations? How might you be able to partner with each other? So you can go and find people who can be like, we're good at that, we can help you with that. But also, they'll be like, you're good at that. People will see your strengths as well. And I really, really, really want to hammer this home that when you are looking at partners, right? When you're thinking about potential partners, recognize your own strengths, recognize what your organization has, and that value add you add to other people as well. It's not just you asking for help. It's not just you asking for something. You also offer people a lot, okay? And that's one of your biggest strengths is what you can offer people. So when we look at partnerships, we've got different types of partnerships. You might be looking to find volunteers or pro bono support. Pro bono means no payment support, right? So maybe that's a lawyer that is offering you free legal advice or something. That was a partnership we did, Turn did, and Results CSE and the Ideas into Action program we did with the Sistren Legal Collective. They offered legal advice and a legal workshop for social entrepreneurs in our community. That was a partnership. Maybe it's referrals or community. Maybe you need to find people you're working with, right? Or maybe people want to work with your community. So it might be a referral network aspect. It could be expertise, training, right? What is it that's the expertise that people can offer to your organization or to your programs or whatever your setup is, but to your end users? It could be space, equipment. Do you need space, a cafe? Do you need to borrow something? Do you need musical equipment? Whatever it is. Could be product, supply chain, logistics. Maybe something can help you with a product and give you a cheaper rate or even give you some samples. Maybe people could deliver your product for free or give you packaging for free. And it could be marketing or advocacy. People could fly the flag for you as well. They can cheerlead for you as an organization, which will be so important when you're looking at funding. So these types of partnerships we have actually identified in your worksheet. So we're going to go back into the worksheet now, and we're going to work and start thinking about what are your needs, right, from your partners. What do you need from a certain partner? So we have community, these drop-down menus. Oops, sorry. We have these drop-down menus here, and you can select what the partner role might be, and then you can say what it is that you need from that partner. And then you could use your network map, and you can start thinking about who could fulfill this. But you're not just going to ask for something. You're not just going to ask for space, for instance. You want to think a little bit about like, what's the win for your beneficiaries? What's the win for your organization? And what's the win for your partner? Okay, so start thinking collaboratively and holistically. So I want to give a little example from a Turn founder, okay, who is called SEUK. Now, there's a company called Orbit, and their strapline is building communities. They are a social housing company that contracts with the government to supply affordable housing, and they state that since 2013, they've invested over £35 million back into our community investment program. They had this space in Erith Park that they wanted to create a community space for, right? They had this impact objective where they put money back into communities. Now they have this space, but they don't have anyone to fill it. So in comes Turn alumni, founder of Active Horizons and SEUK. You guys already been working a long time on a youth community organization called Active Horizons, which builds leadership skills for young people, and it helps to get young people more active in society and in communities. So she's already got loads of events planned, right? She's already proven her impact. She's already built trust with the local community. So she approached Orbit, who had the building, and said, look, we can actually collaborate together where I can further my impact with your building that you're trying to do. But this also ticks the box for Orbit because they are furthering their impact in local communities. And ultimately, the big win is for the young people that UKI is supporting. Now, remember Mariam, Coffee with Kids? Obviously, we saw the network and how she got connected with the Republic. But the Republic had some space in an East London office where they wanted to offer, with a corporate social responsibility, support to social enterprises. So Mariam spoke with Republic and said, I don't want a full coffee shop right now because I'm still quite early stage, but I do want to provide a pop-up coffee shop for 1 week during the October half term. I need the space. So Republic said, that's great. That fits within our organizational goals of wanting to support social entrepreneurs and help community-based projects. So Mariam said, well, I have this amazing project. Let me do it. So they said, cool. And they collaborated. And these are real photos from Mariam's October pop-up, right? Where she was given a space. She was able to support over 35 families in a week that needed affordable childcare. Now, it's not the end thing that she wanted, but it's a stepping stone. And it's building that partnership and that community. And the best thing about this partnership is I spoke to Mariam yesterday morning, and Mariam told me she's now doing something else with Republic for International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day today, by the way. But she's doing something for International Women's Day next week with Republic, because that is a partnership where they want to keep that growing. They want it to keep thriving. And for Mariam, it's brilliant because she can still have the impact on refugees, asylum seekers, low-income families to provide free and affordable childcare. So these are two real examples of partnerships. These are two real examples where there's a very clear win for the entrepreneur, there's a very clear win for the partner, and there's a very clear win for the end users. So we're now going to break out for 25 minutes, not 35 minutes, and we're going to start thinking about what kind of partners do you need. So using your worksheet, to go back into the worksheet, identify what partners you need right now for your organization. Think about the win for you, right? That's what you need, but also the win for your beneficiaries or your users or your community members, and the win for your potential partner. And then using your network map that you've already been doing, start thinking of maybe 3 potential partners. Identify 3 potential partners. They might not be perfect. You might need to go back, but try and identify 3 potential partners. So we're going to be working here, and you will follow this exactly as to what do you need from a partner, who could fulfill it, the win, the win, the win. So start identifying as well. Okay. I think we're ready to break out for 25 minutes, Fred. Sorry, not 35, but 25. And we can get cracking on some partnerships. Okay, guys, welcome back. I hope that was useful and that you enjoyed that. And it's such an important workshop. So thank you all for coming, first of all, and thank you for being so attentive and just really like with it for 3 hours. It's great. I just want to talk very quickly about the Spark support that is available until the 6th of April. Yes, that is right. It's the 6th of April because after that, myself and Saif will be away for a little bit, but also the support will be focused around pitching and access to funding and practicing pitches. So if you want any of this support that is here, including branding, technical support and setup, website support, building out your networks more with Social Enterprise UK, financial planning, building a volunteer force, grant finding and writing, and also any kind of registration or legal stuff, please book a Spark session with myself and with Saif. after the 6th of April, we are not going to have the same Spark support hours. It is going to be more focused on pitching and more focused on access to finance, including crowdfunding support for those of you who do crowdfund and grant finding. So if you want a website, if you want social media set up, if you want a brand, please let's get this over the line over the next 4 weeks ahead of the 6th of April. And as always, you know that you can book that by scanning this QR code or going to the link bit.ly/spark ideas into action. So please do book with us. You know, we really want to help you get all the assets you can have before we start focusing on access to finance and pitching. But that is it from me today. Just keep an eye out in your email inboxes for a very important email that you're going to get sent today from me, but I really need you to reply to by Monday next week. So have a little look at that, read through it. If you have any questions, do get in touch. And please fill out this feedback. Help us learn, help us grow. Tell us what we're doing well in the program, what we're not doing well, what we could do better, but also how you found the workshop today. Scan this QR code or visit the link bit.ly/feedback-into-action. And we finished on time because it's a 3-hour workshop, so I didn't want to keep you longer. Just want to say thank you so much. Happy International Women's Day. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your afternoon.